Hey everyone, this question of the day comes from Jerry from Louisville, Kentucky. She sent me a text of a picture right here asking me if this is true or false. The context of the text in that picture is swimming square, keep it wide, keep it square, never work underneath yourself. And you can see that this athlete is crossing the center line slightly. You can see him or her swimming over the black line. I'm not really sure what those arrows mean or those square boxes mean. So I want to just explain how I interpreted this swimming image. First of all, I want to say if you're a self-coached athlete and you're seeking out particular swimming information, there's a lot out there in YouTube, articles, Google. Even if you have an on-deck coach, you go to a master swim program and then you have another coach writing your training plans. A lot of us swim experts sometimes say the same thing in slightly a different way. So it's the wording, it's how much you understand and how much you interpret what the article, the image, the YouTube video is saying. So it's important that you ask someone you trust to help you understand what's going on. In this particular case, when I hear someone say swim wide and square, that's telling me they're not rotating, that their hips are square and they're swimming like this without the rotation. And that's also telling me that they're swimming wide, meaning wider than their hips, wider than the line of their body. In this particular instance, this image had the athlete on their hip. Timing of their breathing was off. They were breathing into their armpit, but their arm was crossing over the black line. So the arm was crossing over. So for this particular athlete, of course, I'd say you want to move your arm a little bit wider. You want to make sure your hand is going down the midline of your body, and then it drives your rotations so you're pushing past your hip and you're never crossing over. If your rotating is off, then you might cross over. If you're rotating correctly, then you're never going to cross over. My arm's pulling center, but let me show you more. Pulling center, I'm not going to cross over because I'm going to rotate. That's important to know. Also, this particular athlete, Jerry, she asked me about rotation. She said she thinks about rotation when one hand enters the water, she rotates. But what's actually going on is when my left hand goes in the water, my right arm just pulled and drove my rotation. Likewise, when my right arm enters the water, my left arm just pulled and drove my rotation. So it's actually the underwater pull that's driving your rotation. When one hand enters, the other hand is pulling. That's important to know. And if the timing of that is correct, you shouldn't cross over. And in this case, in this picture, the athlete was crossing over, but look how they're breathing. They're breathing into their armpit. I mean, there's no way you're going to get a good breath if you're pushing water into your mouth as you breathe. So this was all a matter of, it looked like when they were taking their breath, they were dropping their arm that was pulling them under. This arm was coming around a little bit too soon because this arm was dropping too soon. So again, I see a lot of issues with this particular athlete. I'd say their balance is off because they're dropping their arm too soon when their face is out of the water to get a breath. That's causing them to cross over and not really get a good hip rotation drive with their pull. But the question was, is swimming square and wide true or false? It just depends on who the athlete is, what square means to the coach that explained this, square and what wide means. For me and the way I teach, I would never use that vocabulary, swim square and wide, because like I said in the beginning, swimming square means you don't have this hip rotation, and swimming wide to me means you're pulling not down the center of your body, and you're pulling wider than your hips. Okay, so anyways, great question. I think a lot of you who watch this are going to benefit from the things I have to say. If anything, it's going to spark something in your memory of what you're doing in swimming, and maybe you'll take the next step and call and leave me a voicemail on speakpipe.com with your swimming, triathlon, or any health, fitness, or other related question you may have. We love to hear voicemails. We like to use those voicemails on the Endurance Hour podcast, because if you have a question, maybe someone else has the same question, and we can help more people that way. Anyways, thanks for the question, Jerry. I hope you all make it a great day.